We are back. It's the Joe Holka Show presented by Prize Picks. It's week 8. It's also the big show. How we doing, everybody? How we feeling? Happy National Tight End Day to everyone who celebrates. This is one of my favorite weeks of the year because it always feels like slightly overblown going into the morning. Everyone's talking about National Tight End Day all week, and then it just so happens that it comes to fruition almost every week as well, that like these tight ends start going crazy. So I am team National Tight End Day. We're gonna get in some George Kittle. We're gonna get in some Jalen Warren. We're gonna get in Tyler Warren, I should say. Geez, now we're already botching the tight end day celebrations. Dallas Goedert's going to be chalky. Dalton Schultz going to be chalky. There's all these tight ends. Can we just play 3 tight ends today? Let's do that on our roster. Speaking of our roster, I'm trying to do a better job of showing you guys kind of what we did last week as well. So let's go ahead and throw that up here because you guys probably want to see. It's actually a good week to show this as well, because I think if we were to here, see if I can actually, there we go. Let's do that. So this was our main roster right here. This was our chalky Jaden Daniels roster. He gets hurt, obviously not ideal, but we had a lot of chalk fades in this one, or a lot of chalk failures in this one as well for the most part. Jacory Krosky Merritt, 26. So what did we say? If we were going to have some failures on this team, what would we do from a late swap perspective? And we really liked the Indianapolis kind of mega stack on this pivot. So that's why I always like to build 2 rosters with you guys. This is if everything goes according to plan, right? This is the team that we want to build. This is the team that we really like. But if things are not going well, what can we do to completely blow up our roster and get some really nice ownership and really nice leverage the rest of the way? So we're going to build a DraftKings lineup at the end, go position by position today, pretty usual, but just wanted to show that the late swap stuff does really matter. Getting Daniel Jones at 2.9%. How are you? JT obviously in this roster. Michael Pittman sub 10%. We get a touchdown from him, which is really nice. And then we get Tyler Warren in there at 12%, which is pretty solid. But look at some of these really low owned plays that we got. Pacheco gets in the end zone, so 12 points from him at that salary was pretty nice. But Keenan Allen was the big one. He was one of those like kind of like key regression candidates, but also the area of the field that Indy has struggled with at least a little bit was kind of exactly where Keenan Allen has been operating. So really liked him as kind of like a buy low, especially at 6%. Was nice to get the touchdown over 100 yards, all that good stuff. And then also Cowboys defense at sub 1%, getting 15 was absolutely huge. So shout out to us on the late swap stuff last week. But how's everyone feeling about week 8? This is like, I feel like I've said this a few times, but this does feel like a slate that we haven't had all year. It feels a little bit more like a throwback. Let's get the cheapest quarterback in there possible. Let's get I mean, maybe we'll pay up a tight end. We'll see. But we're trying to jam in these really expensive running backs for the most part, right? And then we have Jamar Chase staring at us in the face as well. Also, I guess on the subject of things I did not get right, last week, I was completely wrong on the Judkins play, right? I think I might have said the words, unless he scores 3 touchdowns, we're fine. So yeah, I was wrong. You were right. You're good looking. I'm not attractive. All that stuff, right? I apologize. The chat loved him. He was a great play. He was heavily owned. I didn't play him on any of my main teams. So that was not great. So some key late swaps saved the week, but Judkins obviously getting in 3 times was not ideal. Chat was right. Shocker. Shocker. Let's talk about this week, though. Who is going to be this highest owned player this week? Bijan Robinson, Rashad White, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Dalton Schultz, Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. Who do you think is going to be the highest owned player today? Chat. Some familiar faces in here. How we doing? Jeremy's in here. What's up, Jeremy? Happy National Tight End Day to you. Wayne Casey, what's up, man? Joe Milk, Moist Shrimp. That's a new name, but I like it. I like it. Who else we got in here? HC King, what's up, my man? Need that Millie first place. I would take that Millie first place. I would split it with all you guys in the chat. 100%. That'd be cool. That would be cool. If we would have done it last week on the late swap team, that would have been cool. We could have split it together. How we doing? How we doing? Kittle coming back on tight end day. Could be. Got to line up with both Kirk. Yeah, I mean, let's get Kirko in there, right? That sounds fun. That sounds fun. Science Tour, what's up, my man? Who else we got in here? Catch is in here. Wayne's in here. What's up, Scott? We are back, my man. We are back. Renegade Noel. What's up, my man? How we doing? Derek Mintz in here. Mikey boy. What's up, bro? How you doing? Wits in here. How were your guys' teams last week? Solid? Solid? Bijan's going to tear us a new one today. I get to see it live. Yeah, we got some Dolphins love in the chat. We talked about one of the trades that I made in my most important season-long league last week. So I ended up getting Rashee Rice and Christian McCaffrey for basically just a haul of like 4 players. Did another deal. This one I feel like you guys might not uh, like as much. I think we agreed that you guys knew where I was at. I'm a 6-1 team, so I'm trying to unload a little bit of depth, but made another deal that gives me quite possibly the best wide receiver core I have on any team. But there were some people that didn't like this one as much. So I lost my quarterback for the most part, Justin Fields. I had some temptations to try and get like I guess someone on waivers, but ended up moving Devon Achan, Ollie Gordon. This guy happened to just really want the handcuff, and Ramondre Stevenson. For I went for the CD stack. So Achan and CD Lamb mostly a wash rest of season. I prefer the CD side, but then I get Dak Prescott in that deal as well. So uh, giving up Achan and Ramondre for CD and Dak, 2 starters for him. He was like a 1-5 team or 1-6 team, something like that. And then I get my quarterback stack and upgrade to CD Lamb. So my wide receivers now in that league. I do have Christian McCaffrey in this team as well, just because that trade I made last week. But CD Lamb, Rashee Rice, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Emeka Egbuka, Ted McMillan, Jameson William, Rashid Shaheed. Completely insane. Completely insane. I did need a quarterback. I think that's a huge W though. Any like trade calculator I was like throwing that in had it basically dead even, if anything, like slightly in their favor. Because like trading for a quarterback, like it's not the most ideal thing in the world, giving away 2 starters. But I could afford to do it. I think with the depth I have, I'm just gonna piece together running back 2 the rest of the way and just have like the most elite wide receivers. That was the goal. Dak and CD bringing me to the promised land. I hope he fleeced that league. I mean, I do my best to build these super teams, my man. That's the move. You're 6-1. Unload your depth. Get some studs. Team is very stacked. Yeah, it's crazy. Taysom Day, that'd be cool. Bijan Robinson, highest owned player today. Highest owned player, Bijan Robinson. I've gone back and forth a little bit on this one. I think it's between, well, I think it's between a lot of the guys that we have in this poll. But if I was to guess, I actually think that Jamar Chase could be right there. Devonta Smith and Jamar Chase, I think, are really close. Bijan is very expensive, relatively. If you save $700 going into Jamar Chase, I could see it. But yeah, everyone was falling over themselves to play Bijan today. Do we have any Algier news? That's the thing I wanted to know. Because if we don't have Tyler Algier in there, questionable still. 3 limited practices for Tyler Algier this week. Interesting. Yeah, I think that could probably push him to the highest owned player. But of that tier, like JT, Christian McCaffrey, Bijan Robinson, I think that Bijan probably is going to end up being the one that's more popular. So I'm with you guys on that. What do we got for news, though? DeAndre Swift expected to play. He's battling through that groin injury. League sources believe that Rashid Shaheed can be had for the right price. Interesting. Kirk Cousins is going to get the start. We know that. Schefter called it official, right? So that bone bruise for Michael Penix is going to be holding him out this week. Mason Taylor week. Maybe it's Mason Taylor week. Expected to play with that quad injury. Brees Hall knee expected to play. AJ Brown not expected to be traded. Not going to be playing this week. That's why we got all the Devonta in there. Not a lot of other crazy news that I'm seeing. Drake London was downgraded to questionable, but I think he's going to go. Interesting. Very interesting. Monongai is the sleeper. Monongai. Maybe. That Bears team, just all they want to do is run lately, right? Maybe it is Colson Loveland week, though. We'll see. Chase, it's a trap. Might be Chase Brown game. Yeah, could be. Are we going to turn over the cards on JT's 10% owned? I kind of think of those 3, CMC might be the lowest. Am I crazy? Who's my running backs? We'll get there, my man. We'll get there. Let's start with quarterback, though. Top quarterback play today, price considered. Tyler Huntley, Spencer Rattler, Bo Nix, Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco, Kirk Cousins, or other. What do you guys think? Best quarterback play today? Price considered. Are we trying to go super cheap so that we can get in some of these studs? That's the question, right? Obviously, Lamar Jackson officially ruled out with that hamstring injury. It looked like at some points of the week he might be giving it a go, but Tyler Huntley will be the starter this week. Looks like Lamar is setting his sights on a week 9 return. CMC and Achan are the pivots. Yeah, Achan for sure. Saquon even. I think this is like a pretty interesting running back slate. We'll get into it. What do you guys think about quarterback though? If we're paying down, which I think we are, in most of the builds that I've messed around with and some of the sim stuff that I work through in the mornings, uh, I guess tight end you can make a bigger argument for moving up a little bit, but there are some cheap ones available as well. But it's really hard to get out. I guess get around a cheap quarterback today. Terrified with how much Rattler I'm playing today. Yeah, we got there. We got there. We got there. A lot of Bo Nix love as well so far in the poll. Interesting. No Tyler Huntley love. Okay, fair. I think I might like Tyler Huntley more than you guys. I think that team needs to win, right? Desperate Baltimore Ravens against Chicago's defense, who's definitely not scary. Interesting. Bo Nix, who's been kind of inconsistent this year, but he has been able to give us a little bit of ceiling at times. I could see it. Relatively mid range in his price, and then just play the quarterback against Dallas every week, right? That's the move. Playing a ton of Huntley today. Let's go, Johnny. I actually haven't made up my mind with Kirk Cousins yet, though, just because that game environment does look pretty juicy as well. We're talking about like up and tempo, high pace games. That Dallas Denver game, I think there's gonna be a lot of plays in that. I think I like Tampa Bay and New Orleans more than most people, but now it seems like Rattler's getting a little bit popular as well. This Cincinnati game I think is somewhat interesting for pace, just because I think Cincinnati is gonna throw so much like they did last week. I don't know if we're getting like the 20 plus targets that Chase saw again, but Flacco will sling it. And for whatever reason, coaches just like trust him enough just to let him drop back 40 times or something ridiculous. So we'll get some pace there. The slower pace games that I'm a little bit worried about. I think Buffalo could come and just absolutely blow the doors off of Carolina, but I don't know if there's going to be a ton of plays in that game. A little bit slower paced on both sides. Miami and Atlanta, they control that game. A little bit worried about overall offensive plays in general. We'll see. And then San Francisco at Houston, that's another interesting one that I think just could be. I mean, it's the same story with San Francisco all the time, right? You're going to need that efficiency when it's spread around a little bit because they don't run as many plays as some of these other up tempo offenses do. Cowboys D for the leverage. We got that last week. Josh Allenson versus a developing pass funnel. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't think anyone's really going to pay up for quarterback this week, though, is the thing. DJ Shane, what's up, my man? How we doing? Didn't Mooney perform well with Kirk? I like Mooney in like the cheaper to mid range wide receiver. Yeah, well, I think that's one. If we do end up going with like a Kirko team, I think that makes some sense. I am a Drake London guy, but Mooney is also one that I really liked going into the season. Hasn't worked out so well to start, but yeah, I could see it. Quarterback though, like if you are getting up to that mid range, I think it is Bo Nix against Dallas. Um, yeah, matchup, all of those things. I think you get the offense in a really good spot, but then also just get a lot of pushback on the other side. The Broncos really just obviously they came to life at the end of that game last week, so if they can kind of continue that, 6K for Bo Nix is a really good price. If you're paying down, it's probably going to be like between Kirko and Spencer Rattler for me. I think that Huntley gives you a little bit more on the ground, which is nice. But I think Spencer Rattler at 4,700 is going to be really difficult to walk away from in this game environment. He hasn't been terrible this year. Uh, I think they're going to be forced to throw the ball a ton. And we got some nice options to go to. Shaheed, Olave. Olave's finally kind of started to come around on all that volume and start to actually give us a little bit more efficiency and production as well. So I think Rattler is solid. At 4,700, he makes a lot work for your roster today, for sure. I think the Eagles at home are going to go off in prime time. Yeah, it could be. Could be. Yeah, I got to see them in person last week or the week before. I forget. These weeks all run into one. Week before. Vikings. Hurts gets slinging it all over the field. All right, let's move to an interesting running back slate, right? Best running back play today: Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry. This is price considered as well, so keep that in mind. Derrick Henry, Rashad White, Devon Achane. Best running back play today. What do we think? If you're here for the first time, hit subscribe. We do this every Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Run some polls, go position by position. We'll build some lineups at the end, all that good stuff. What are you guys thinking? Exclamation point vote, space the number in order to place your vote. If you are a subscriber to the channel, you're the only people that can talk in the chat. Taylor might have 4 touchdowns today. Yeah, I mean, the amount of 3 touchdown games he's had this year is completely insane. I did take some Taylor stuff that was over 1.5 touchdowns, and I don't do that very often. We did hit on one of those the other week, though. Was it Devontae Adams last week? I don't know why I'm like, it feels like a year ago that Devontae Adams scored 3 touchdowns, but we did have the over on 1.5 touchdowns for Devontae Adams. So shout out to us. A lot of haters on that video that were a little bit quiet after the game. If you guys do want to get in on the picks, obviously Prize Picks, they'll pay you $50 if you just play $5, which is pretty sweet. If you use code HulkAlive, I'll know that you came from the live stream. Really appreciate it. Prize Picks is still the presenting sponsor of this show, and I think one of the best places to be getting some action down on a Sunday morning. All right. So running back in general, it feels like kind of like that old school jam it in week to me. If I had to choose between one of these guys, just raw points in general, I think I like JT. I know you guys mentioned like just in general the touchdown upside there from him, 9,500, very expensive. But now this home matchup that he gets against the Titans, they're like massive favorites in this game. He's going to get at least 20 plus touches. I think that as long as it doesn't get completely out of hand early, you're going to want JT on a good chunk of your rosters today for sure. I don't even know if we have to like go through this. It's like so obvious in some ways. Uh, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, I think are very close. If you're going to save that $700 to Bijan, I totally get it. I think there'll be tons of rosters that try and figure out ways to play both of them today. Jamar Chase though is interesting because I think in turn, I mean, I honestly I don't play a ton of cash games, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jamar Chase ends up being on a lot of rosters for that as well. Even at that price point, I think he's going to be heavily owned in this spot against the Jets. The Jets have some injuries. Since he's going to continue to throw all of those things, yeah, 8,100 for Jamar Chase still feels very fair, very fair. But you're deciding between those guys. So then you end up with like a decent amount of leverage for some of the more, I guess, some of the other expensive guys, right? So Christian McCaffrey at 9K, if we get him at like 15%, that's some nice leverage there too. I like that. I think Devon Achane, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, all those guys are going to be like roughly 15% in tournaments. And if I had to like guess, I think Rashad White 30 plus, Jonathan Taylor at least 25 plus. Yeah. Why no Barkley love? I feel like he runs all over the Giants today. Yeah, I mean, love Saquon. Revenge. It's still a revenge game for him too, right? It's just one of those things where it's hard to unsee the lack of efficiency so far this year with like how this offensive line is played. But yeah, I mean, I love the idea of getting Saquon at 7,600. It just seems like a really good price when we have all these other guys priced around 9K. There's only so many of these guys you can play today, though. That's the problem. Derrick Henry at 6K, that price is just like so annoying, right? Because it almost forces you to get there with that team total. I think I would have liked Derrick Henry a little bit more with Lamar, as crazy as that sounds. But yeah, that price tag for him is completely egregious, right? So you're probably getting him in. I prefer Derrick Henry to Brees Hall for sure. Rashad White at 6,400 though. I think it's between those guys more. It's between Rashad White and Derrick Henry. No Bucky Irving. Like just the amount of touches that he's going to get, I think there's a chance that that game ends up being pretty high scoring as well. So if he gets like his like 17, 18 touches in this game, really nice for Rashad White as well on DraftKings for sure. I guess think on like Derrick Henry at 6K, he's more expensive on FanDuel. But looking at the Derrick Henry versus Rashad White decision, yeah, it's hard. It's hard. All the projections and stuff are going to tell you that Rashad White's the play. I just at some point Derrick Henry is going to put it down our throats, you know. Bijan Robinson, best player, best running back play today. We got Bijan, JT, and Derrick Henry by a large margin in the poll. We could play all three of those guys if we really wanted to. We'll see. This is a fun poll today. Elite wide receiver, top elite wide receiver play today. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Emeka Egbuka. Who do we want? Who do we want a wide receiver if we're forced to pay all the way up? What do you guys think? We're paying all the way up at wide receiver. Who's the priority? These are all four wide receivers that are priced above 7K today. Above 7K. We got some James Cook love in the chat. It could be a James Cook game. I would not be shocked. That's a sharp call. Team jamming in Bijan and JT. We could do a team like that. I'm not scared. I'm not scared to pay down a quarterback today. I'm more scared to pay down a tight end today. You guys know it's a national holiday, right? Love me some national tight end day. Jamar Chase getting tons of love. Not shocking. Not shocking. You get that many targets in a game, you're bound to find some efficiency eventually, right? 23 targets. Guy has 35 targets in the last 2 weeks. 35. Completely insane. He's turned his 35 targets into 26 catches, about 250 yards, roughly, 2 touchdowns. Crazy. Joe Flacco, I guess maybe that was something I was wrong about as well. I thought Joe Flacco was just going to give CD and T just like a higher floor in general. I didn't think we'd find these ceiling games. I was wrong. I was wrong. You were right. Would rather play Devonta Smith over all these options. We'll get there. We'll get there. So, okay, so if we're paying all the way up, Jamar Chase. I agree with you guys. This is the more important poll, though. Top non-elite wide receiver play today. Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Devonta Smith, no A.J. Brown in that game, Tez Johnson, Jalen Knoll, Drake London, or Cortland Sutton, or other. What do we think at, like, this is like where the tournaments are going to be won and lost today. Top non-elite wide receiver play today. Interesting. We know Swaggy's going Devonta Smith. Price considered. Who do we like at wide receiver? I think if you're not going to go with like one of the expensive running back options as like some leverage, someone mentioned Cam Scattaboo in the chat, 6,600. He's still someone that has a pretty high ceiling at like sub 5% ownership. I don't hate that. I don't hate that. Of like some of the guys on the cheaper side, that's going to give you like the most leverage, I think. Cam Scattaboo and Quinshot Judkins probably would be the two. That would give you the most leverage at running back if you're trying to really just flip your build a little bit. I could see that. Why so scared of tight end? Dalton Schultz is at 3,300. That's the easy play. I agree. That's the easy play. There's just something about Dalton Schultz, man. I don't know. It's really hard for me to like just picture the ceiling game, but it could happen. I'm nervous that that game ends up being like really low scoring. Like 42 is the total right now. Would anyone be shocked if that game was like 21 to 14, something like that? It's Smith, but won't play him without Hurts and GPPs. I think that's fair. Jordan Addison, come on, my man. Vikings played on Thursday. You know that. We do like some Jordan Addison and GPPs, though, on the regular. I'm with you. They can't protect Stroud. The offensive line is going to continue to be a huge issue for Houston. I can't agree more. Can't agree more. Goddard had 29 last time versus the Giants. Wow. Yeah, the Giants also like can't defend running quarterbacks, so I always like the Hurts stuff against the Giants. I think he's had multiple games with 2 rushing touchdowns against them over the last couple years. The last time that Hurts played the Giants, I just remember having all of the Hurts props. Yeah. Devonta Smith leading the way. Cortland Sutton getting a little bit of love as well. Yeah, AJ Brown being out is huge. Regardless, the Eagles are like they haven't been passing as much, right? But it is so concentrated that you get like a lot of really nice projections for Devonta Smith and Dallas Goedert, right? If the Giants offense on the other side can score some points, it could be a really nice spot for Devonta Smith at 5,900. Totally agree. The interesting decision, I think, is like if you're trying to debate Devonta Smith versus Chris Olave at the same price, basically. So you're getting a lot of volume. Olave is going to get like those double digit targets for the most part. I think that in general, as heavy underdogs, again, they're going to continue to throw a ton. We really are just hoping that the efficiency continues for Chris Olave, right? So he started to find the end zone a little bit. I don't know. Both these guys, I think, are fantastic plays. You can play both. If you can live in this mid range, you're still going to have to find something a little bit cheaper, but I think it's at least interesting. So if you're going to try and get in there, like Tez Johnson, 4,300 is a really nice pay down option for sure. There's some really cheap guys as well. If you want to go the Higgins or Knoll route, 3,500 for them. Alec Ayamanor, 3,900 in that game. There are some options if we want to get down to some of the really cheap guys. I think if I had to pick between some of these like sub 4K guys, I think Jalen Knoll would be the preference. 3,500 for him. And I don't think he's going to be like crazy owned. I think most people are going to try and get up to Tez Johnson, who I also like at 4,300. Both of those guys seem fine. Rashid Shaheed at 4,700 if you can get there. But I get it. We're really we don't have a lot of options with salary if we want to get in some of those elite running back plays, right? So that's what makes it so much harder to get up to Jamar Chase and Emeka Egbuka. Like, love Egbuka. He's on all my most important teams in fantasy this year, which is great. 7K for him. I mean, he's going to get a ton of volume, obviously, with Mike Evans out. Also, Chris Godwin out again. So the yards per target really solid. All the efficiency stuff he's been scoring. I'm a little bit nervous about the injury, though he was basically not even on the injury report by the end of the week anyway. So maybe that's something we shouldn't be worrying about. But yeah, Emeka Egbuka at 7K still feels about 500 too cheap to me. So still really like that idea in that up tempo game. Rattler Noel lets you fit a lot. It does. Franklin's interesting. Yeah, if you want to like get some Bo Nix stuff going, I think Troy Franklin's interesting as well. He still feels like someone that's due for some positive regression also. Yep, I'm with you. Devonta Smith winning this poll. A lot of Cortland Sutton love as well. I think a lot of people want to go to the Bo Nix play today. So I could see it. Getting Sutton in there with Bo Nix makes a ton of sense. It's got to be one of the best sacks of the week for sure. I'm with you. Let's keep this rolling because I want to be able to have plenty of time to build a few lineups with you guys. On National Tight End Day, who is it? Top tight end play today. Price considered Dallas Goedert, Dalton Schultz, Kate Otten, Tyler Warren, George Kittle, or other. Who do we like at tight end today on National Tight End Day? Who do we like? I should have put him on the thumbnail. One of these guys. What am I thinking? George Kittle, 4,500 last week. A lot of blocking. Just 2 targets in that game. Did not have a catch in his return. Do we see Kittle go completely crazy today? Maybe. I don't think he's going to be like that heavily owned. I could be wrong. I think that most of the ownership is going to go Goddard Schultz for the most part. It'll be Dotson all day. Watch for some dumb reason. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked, my man. Tucker Kraft. We got Kraft on Sunday Night Football, I believe, right? That's the Sunday Night Football game. I do have a lot of Kraft props though. Where's Ferguson? That's fair. Yeah, all Ferguson does is score touchdowns. He just feels like really it's just a tough price point for him, right? Ferguson's 6K on DraftKings. So if you're trying to find some leverage, that might be it. He's gonna be like 1%. Go Pack, go. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I'm still trying to debate if I want to go to Lambeau for the Vikings game this year. I've been there once, went there for one of my best buddies' bachelor parties, which was a blast. And then my wife's never been to Lambeau, though. So I'm debating. I'm debating. Goddard goal line shovel. That seems to happen more than people realize. Yeah. Knox if Kincaid is out. I like the high team total there. So I like where your head's at. All great plays, but Schultz is the most integral for his team today. That's fair. Yeah. I mean, I just worried that that team is not going to be able to do much. But maybe I'm Maybe I'm overblowing that. That low total scares me. It's 1.5 points higher than Cleveland, New England. Brian's going to be at Lambeau for that game. Let's go. It's a very unique place to watch a game. Last time I've only been there once, and the Vikings got absolutely throttled. A lot of Dalton Schultz love. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, no Nico Collins, no Christian Kirk. He's going to be like the number one target for sure, right? The 49ers defense missing some of their best players. We know Fred Warner went down. We know Nick Bosa went down. 10 targets in week 7, right? So the volume is going to be there if he ends up approaching like the 10 plus target range again against this San Francisco defense, then yeah, he's just like so underpriced and he makes a lot work for your roster, right? So I think that's totally fair. I think that's totally fair. Like you're going to have to pay for the ceiling that you have for Dalton Schultz, you're going to have to pay a lot higher salary basically for any other option. Like you can maybe make an argument for like Kate Otten in that price point. Uh, I think he's significantly higher than like a Mason Taylor for sure. I think he's significantly higher than like a Jawan Johnson for sure. I think he's significantly higher than like a Colson Loveland for sure. We're just looking at guys in like this exact price range. So I get why he's going to be popular. If you want to get up to like the Dallas Goddard, George Kittle tier, though, if you have the 1,000, you are going to see a nice bump in ceiling. And you're going to see a decent ownership discount if you get to Kittle as well. So that's the decision point for us. That's the main decision point. Most important poll of the entire day. If you have not voted for a poll today, this is the one I need you on because this is the one that we will be building our team around. Favorite game stack. Dallas at Denver. These do have the point totals as well for the games on them. Dallas at Denver is 51 right now in terms of their over-under. Tennessee at Indy. Buffalo at Carolina. Tampa Bay at New Orleans. Chicago at Baltimore. Miami at Atlanta. New York Jets at Cincinnati Bengals. New York Giants at Philly. San Francisco at Houston. Cleveland at New England. Just a 10-game slate today on Sunday. Less games than normal. What do you guys think? If we were to game stack up our roster today, who do we want? Any news on Drake London playing? See if we have anything recent. Downgraded to questionable was the last item that came out for Drake London. So we'll be watching that one. I think he's going to play, though. Who is someone that I think could get 2 TDs this week? I did make a Jonathan Taylor over 1.5 touchdown bet this week. Tua questionable. Yeah, that off. I mean, maybe so we just play Atlanta defense everywhere. Is that the move? Maybe. What do I think of double tight end today? If there was a day to do it, this is the day to do it. Probably. You could build in 2 of these tight end. The problem is the running backs are so strong again, right? But if you're trying to get in like 2 of like the mega studs, if you're trying to get in JT and Bijan, and then you wanted to get in double tight end, a lot of the whatever tool you're using, whatever projections you're using, whatever sims you're using, the double tight end stuff does seem to be popping a little bit more today than usual. But I think it's because pricing's a little bit tighter and some of the highest end, you're going to be like pushed into some stars and scrubs type of builds. HPM, thank you for that super chat, my man. Appreciate you. Isn't Denver defense nasty? Denver defense is very solid. They've also given up some big games this year, though. So yeah, we'll see. This Dallas offense, I think offense beats defense. I'm team offense beats defense. We're getting some Tampa Bay love in here. A lot of Dallas, Denver love. We're going to be stacking up this highest total game. I think we can figure out a way to do it in a unique way. I think we can figure it out. We did play the chalky game last week, so we'll build like some sort of late swap as well if we need to. Tampa Bay, New Orleans right behind it though, so I'm gonna let this poll run a little bit longer. We got 270 people in here. Let's try and get to at least 50 votes because this is gonna be the main team that we put some real American dollars behind today as we build it together. 2 tight end set this week. This is almost dead even with Tampa Bay, New Orleans, and Dallas, Denver. Who do we want to build around today, friends? Do we want to build a gross Spencer Rattler team? Do we want to build a an alpha Dak team. Do you want to build a Bo Nix team? There's a lot of directions we can go here. Baker teams might be fun. What do you guys think? Exclamation point vote, space the number in order to place your vote. I'm going to hold you guys hostage a little bit longer here because this is the one where I want us to at least have consensus as a group. We got 36 votes so far. How many we got? You do have to be a subscriber to the channel to vote in the chat. It's the only way that I can get the bots to be not so relentless. So far, no bots today, though. Knock on wood. Alpha Baker, we could do that. Disgusting Rattler team, please. I would love to build a Rattler team in some ways. It seems like you guys prefer the Dallas Denver game, though. Should I stop putting the team totals on here? Are you guys just voting for Dallas Denver because it's the highest team total? Or do you guys actually think it's the best game stack? Where's the Dalton love? I actually don't mind just in general, like the Dalton led offense versus what we have been watching. Like the Bryce Young led offense just hasn't given us a ton of ceiling. We finally have seen Tet McMillan get in the end zone a few times, which is nice. But yeah, I'm not really that bullish on that game overall. So you guys won't play Tyler Huntley with me, huh? Damn. Okay. Fair. Dallas, Denver, Tampa Bay, New Orleans. We're at 42 votes. Dallas starting to pull away a little bit here, though. Cousins stinks. I don't know. Like, that kind of injury, though, like, I would not be shocked to see Kirko go out and ball out today. And at that price point, 4,400, he throws multiple touchdowns, 200 some yards. Like, you might be there. I don't know. He's like only $300 cheaper than Rattler is the problem. Like I didn't hate the idea of like just the Kirk Cousins plus Bijan, then maybe Drake London or Mooney. Just hope to capture all the touchdowns against Miami. I think the problem is just is there going to be any pushback on the other side? Javonte Williams revenge game. Interesting. Okay. All right, looks like Dallas is going to win our poll. So this is the other most important poll. We got to figure out what quarterback we're playing, right? So Dak or Nix is the poll. Who is our quarterback today? Dak or Nix? Exclamation point vote, space the number. Who is our quarterback today? Dak or Nix? What do you guys think? Dak or Nix? We got plenty of stacking options across the board here. Plenty of stacking options across the board. What are we thinking here? Cousins pitch. Oh, Pitts Bijan. National tight end day. You guys gonna make me play two tight ends? Oh. What do we think at quarterback? Bo Nix leading the way by a decent margin so far. Interesting. Bo Nix is probably the chalkiest quarterback today, but yeah, I mean, I don't hate you guys for getting some Bo Nix in there. This game is so interesting, right? Like these Dallas games have been going completely crazy, like league high points, touchdowns, yards, in like from a per game perspective. The Cowboys, basically their defense has just been giving up scoring on like a top 3 rate. The Cowboys have been scoring on the other side at a top 3 rate. And it's just for some reason this Denver team, they've kind of just been hit or miss most of the year. That's like the concern, right? So it's actually relatively cheap to stack some of like the core pieces. Dak, CD together is actually not terrible. J.K. Dobbins is kind of interesting in this spot. If we do go the next route, Cortland Sutton obviously is kind of that standout core player we'd want to stack with. Troy Franklin is kind of interesting. Marvin Mims is actually looking to be a little bit more popular than I expected. Franklin seems like the Denver guy that you can like kind of bet on being like out on the field behind Sutton, obviously. The Mims stuff always kind of scares me from a morale perspective. Franklin's also been like, at least he has a role in the red zone, which is interesting. Leads Denver in red zone targets. 35% of the red zone targets are actually Troy Franklin, not Cortland Sutton, which I think is interesting. Maybe we just take a flyer on Evan Ingram, though. The tight end position feels wide open today, though, to me. So that's kind of how I feel about this game. But if we are going to go Bo Nix, I think we gotta figure out a way to make this team somewhat unique, right? So let's get Bo Nix in there. We didn't really talk about defense, but I should like recap kind of where we're at position by position here. I think on DraftKings at least, we're gonna go with Bo Nix here. I think you can make an argument that Bo Nix is the top option today. If you are paying down, I think it's Rattler, Huntley, or Cousins. If you're paying all the way down, those would be I'd probably do it in that order as well. Rattler, Huntley, Cousins. I can't do the Justin Fields thing with like there being a chance that maybe he gets benched at some point. I don't know. 5K for him at Cincinnati. Kind of interesting. Like the Justin Fields thing, I mean, maybe there's no chance that he gets benched, right? Maybe there's absolutely no chance because Tyrod did get ruled out. So maybe that the reason that people are just not playing Justin Fields is because people think that he might get benched. But yeah, I mean, are they really gonna take Fields out now without Tyrod there? Probably not. So yeah, 5K, he's the least interesting. No one's gonna play Justin Fields. I'm just always worried that this Jets team might completely implode. But against Cincinnati, I've heard worse ideas. Um, I'm getting distracted. Running back, I think the top options are going to be Jonathan Taylor and Bijan. Maybe get both in if you can't. Rashad White and Derrick Henry. I think it's really the core at running back is very small today. It's Bijan Taylor. I think the leverage is probably McCaffrey at the high end, and then one of Rashad White and Derrick Henry. I think those are the top options. If you really want to go off the board a little bit further, I think Saquon and Achane are both really nice tournament plays. Wide receiver, Jamar Chase is another amazing spot, but from a price perspective, I think Olave, Devonta Smith, those are the guys that still project much higher than their salaries would lead you to believe. Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson, I think both the Tampa Bay guys are in amazing spots as well. Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave. So it's like you're either going around like Chris Olave and Shaheed together, Emeka Egbuka, Tez Johnson together in that game. That's why I do like the Tampa Bay New Orleans game a lot. You can build some really cool Rattler teams, which I've done this morning as well. Tight end, I think if you're paying all the way down, Dalton Schultz, Dallas Goedert, those are the two targets probably. If you want to get in some Kittle stuff, I wouldn't kill you for it on National Tight End Day. Defense is the one where like, do we just get all the way up to Atlanta here? I think if we wanted to go defense, I think Cincinnati is probably the move. 2,700 for them makes some sense. Indy all the way at the top also makes some sense. Just play the defense against Tennessee every week. 3,800 is a little bit tougher. Baltimore at 2,800. I guess the decision point is Baltimore at 2,800 versus Cincinnati at 2,700. What do you guys think about that? Defense wise, Bengals versus Ravens on the defensive side. Is there any preference there? If we're looking at some like the offensive line versus defensive line stuff, obviously Cowboys offensive line has seen better days, kind of middle of the pack, but the Broncos D line has been very good at generating pressure. So I think that's somewhat interesting. There's not a ton of like really large mismatches today, and that's normally kind of how I break ties with these defensive decisions. But I think for me, we just want pass attempts. So maybe it does end up. Well, I guess Chicago's been running so much. I don't love either of these options, but I think at the cheap end, that's kind of where we're at. If we want to go even more gross than that, can we go like Giants at 2,100? Maybe. Miami defense at 22 versus Kirko. If we think Kirko throws a pick six today, looks like you guys like Bengals the best. Let's throw Bengals in there for now, just to like get our placeholder. It's easier to kind of build as we start to get like our footing here. Let's go Bengals for now against Justin Fields. Browns, Giants. Browns is interesting because they'll bring pressure, right? Drake May's been so good though. At 2,500 though, I could see it. When it comes to like the pressure today, I think Cincinnati price adjusted makes the most sense. They're going to bring pressure. So let's go with that for now. And then I guess the main stack we probably want to get in Sutton, right? Probably want to get in Sutton. Who is like the second option that we want to prioritize if we wanted to double stack? Do we get Dobbins in there? Do we get Franklin in there? I like Franklin more than most people, it seems. So to me, I think let's go Sutton and Franklin to start. Sutton and Franklin to start. Would we want to try and get in Evan Ingram? I just hate how they just rotate what they're doing. Like it always seems like a different random tight end for Denver, which is not ideal. So let's get Sutton in there. Let's get Franklin in there. I like both those guys. I think that's a solid way to build around it. And then it becomes, do we want Dak or do we want Pickens on the other side, probably, right? Or Javante in that revenge spot. Pickens is probably going to see a little bit more of Passer's hand, right? But like CD's still going to play a little bit on the outside. So I think this becomes, I think we have to go to running back first to figure out what we want to do at running back. Because if we're going to try and get in one of these studs, if we're going to try and get Bijan in there, or if we're going to try and get in JT, I guess that's a decision point. If we want one of those guys. So that might be worth a poll. That might be worth a poll. Hang on. Hold my beer. So we got JT, Bijan. Hell, I'll throw three CMC on this for you guys. So for this roster, who do we want between these three elite running backs? I think we're only probably going to be able to get one of them. So who do we want? JT, Bijan, CMC for this roster. I think it's going to be pretty difficult to get multiple of these guys. Pretty difficult. What do you guys think? I'm just trying to look into this Evan Ingram stuff a little bit. Because I do like correlating the tight end when I can. I think Ferguson's going to be too expensive. I mean, he did have 8 targets last week. He's had 6 or more targets in 4 straight games. Doesn't have a huge red zone role because Franklin's been stealing all of those. So I guess like the correlation side of this, I think I don't know if you can play Troy Franklin and Evan Ingram, I guess is where I'm landing on that. Because I think if we're going to see Franklin steal some of that red zone role, I think Cortland Sutton's still going to get his. He's going to get his deep shots, all of that. Franklin and Ingram together feels bad. Ferguson for leverage. We could go that route. Looks like Bijan so far. Bijan, if we do go one expensive running back here, Bijan is your guys' preference. Okay, I can live with that. He's the cheapest of those options too, which is nice. So we have running back, wide receiver, tight end, flex. So I think the next decision is, do we play Dalton Schultz? Dalton Schultz versus Kate Otten, basically, on the cheaper side. Or do we just get Evan Ingram in there? I can't do that. I think I'm going in circles on that. But Franklin and Ingram together feels bad. So I don't think I can do it. I'm going to take Ingram out of like our possibilities. You guys think we just play Schultz, or we try and get weird? Schultz is going to be extremely chalky, so we're going to have to get weird the rest of the way if we do that. Too chalky. Otten for sure. I kind of like Otten a little bit. High total. How do we choose tight ends? Like the number one thing we want is a high total for me, right? Because we need touchdowns at the position. So that's why I could have at least considered Evan Ingram, but we're out on that. Is Kincaid playing? I need something weird at tight end. So maybe we play Knox if Kincaid is out. High total. Dalton Kincaid. Questionable with that oblique. Firmly in question. Bills tight end sat out his team's week 6 game against the Falcons, spent week 7 rehabbing the injury on bye. Remained limited through all 3 practices this week. Well, he might be able to tough it out. This would be unsurprising. Dawson Knox is an interesting, like, leverage tight end. Is that a crazy one? It's really off the board. 2,800 though. So it gets us to like that next tier, at least. Like, is there anything else under 3K that we like? Not really. Isaiah Likely, 2,600. Like Knox really isn't getting the targets this year. I have this like memory of him of like still having like a little bit of upside, but like he has like two or fewer targets in 3 straight games. Like, does that skyrocket with Kincaid out? Probably not. Otten or Pitts? Pitts is interesting. Loveland at 3K feels thin. Yeah, all these guys feel thin to me. That's the problem. That's the problem. I could have probably gotten behind some Kincaid. Taysom Hill at 2,900. He's not really being used like we've seen in the past, right? He's not really uh, playing like all three positions. So I don't like that as much. Kate Otten at 3,400 feels like a better option for this roster just because I still feel like we're a little bit chalky right now. So let's start with Kate Otten. Let's put Kate Otten in there and see what that leads us to. He's at least getting a ton of work, right? So now we got running back, wide receiver, flex the rest of the way with Kate Otten in there. Revenge lineup: Rodgers, Saquon, Javonte. We could still get Javonte on this team. We haven't done anything on the bring back yet. Nothing on the bring back. J.K. Dobbins is somewhat interesting in this game. If we just add Dobbins to this one, 5,800 is a nice price for him for sure. 14. He's just not being used in the receiving game enough to add to a Bo Nix team, in my opinion. So Dobbins, I think, is out. I think Dobbins is out. We got to figure out what we want to play on the Cowboys side of this. I think it's interesting. Like, CD's the one that I want to try and make work. It's just going to really handcuff the rest of our roster if we go there. Like, if we're willing to go way down, we can probably make it work, though. Let's put, if we want this game to go crazy, like CD's going to have a day, right? Are you guys good with CD? Let's throw CD on there as the bring back. I don't think CD's going to be like crazy owned. Like, we might get single digits on him, which is kind of why I like it. I kind of don't mind it. We could just play Marvin Mims on this team as well, but I don't necessarily want to do that. What do we think about Javonte Williams on the other side? The true revenge game at 6,800. That gives us a little bit of leverage, I feel like, too, right? Javonte Williams, like, he's being used in the passing game a ton, too, like way more than I realized, actually. It's like Javonte for leverage. So, like, looking at this game, where is the leverage, right? So if we're going to be building around Dallas and Denver, I think that you can make an argument that Javonte is one of the best leverage options. I like the CD leverage that you're getting, sub 10% for him, sub 10% for, I mean, all the Dallas guys basically is where we need to go. So yeah, I think we do. Let's add Javonte to this team, because then we're going to basically leverage around all the Derrick Henry teams and all the Rachaad White teams. And I like the fact that we have Otten here instead of Rachaad White. I think that's interesting. So yeah, I think I'm in on that. I think I'm in. Because Derrick Henry is still going to be like 25%. Rachaad White's going to be like 30 plus. So I think Javonte is a really nice pivot in that slot that still gives us access to this overall ceiling. So 4,100 for our flex. We just missed Dallas Goedert at 4,200. We could have just played two tight ends. We could have. We just missed on George Kittle at 4,500 as well. So like most of the options in this range are kind of tight end options. It's kind of a weird price range. Like, what do we even do at 4,100? Do we just play Jerry Jeudy? That seems scary. Alec Imanor, another option in this range that could make some sense. But that I think I would have liked that better if we had JT, just to go the Imanor JT. We could just add Marvin Mims to this team. Marvin Mims and Franklin together, again, feels like kind of a negative correlation. But if we're trying to have like Bo Nix go completely crazy, just adding another cheap pass catcher in that game, again, we're leveraging this Dallas offense. So maybe it is Mims. What do you guys think? Noel Houston. Is Lamb covered by Sertan? Lamb plays mostly in the slot. He's still going to play outside a little bit. I think Sertan's mostly going to split between Pickens and CD. So yeah, I don't think he's going to get shattered or anything. Browns D play Goddard. Oh, instead of Kate, I think we're really limited on options here. My gut is saying add Marvin Mims to this. Is that crazy? So then we would have Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, and Marvin Mims. So we're playing the Bo Nix explosion game. We already know that. And then we're playing Javante and CD on the other side. Like, this is the highest total game by a mile. We got Bijan going nuts against Miami. We got Cade Otton in a high total game against New Orleans. A lot of pace there. And then we got Justin Fields to implode. This seems like a reasonable scenario today for me. Like dropping down to Browns and Dallas Goddard. If we drop down to Browns, that's true. So actually, Bengals D is like that extra 200 is kind of meaningful. Interesting. So I guess what do you guys prefer? Bengals Otton or Goddard Cleveland? Let's run another poll. We have the technology. I'll let you guys make the decision. All right, so this 2v2. We got Bengals Otton, or we got Cleveland Goddard. All right, I'm gonna let you guys make this decision because I do think it's very close. Pitts is there. I don't know if I want to play Pitts and Bijan, but I could. Let's check that correlation. Bijan and Pitts. Bijan and Pitts are like a neutral. Yes, that's not terrible. Overall ownership of this team. Yeah, I'm like trying to back into that a little bit. So I would say if we end up going Javante, and if we end up going CD, let's take that out and let's put Mims in there. We got the triple stack going. We could go Dalton Schultz, Houston. We could go Dalton Schultz, Cincy. We could go K-Dot in Cincinnati like we had. We could go Dallas Goddard. I mean, we could do basically anything with Cleveland defense that we wanted to. Yeah, so like overall, we do need to find a little bit of differentiation, but CD and Javante are going to be like sub 10%. Marvin Mims, I think, is probably going to be like 5 to 7%. So I think we're doing okay on ownership, honestly. Joshua, thank you for your super chat, my man. 1 point PPR, need tight ends help. Mason Taylor, Ingram, Johnston, Janu. Let's see what we got here. I'll check the rankings for you since you did drop in a super chat. Appreciate that, my man. On National Tight End Day, you have tight end troubles. We'll get you going. You said PPR, right? Yes, PPR. I would say of that group, probably Mason Taylor is the one that stands out. But to be fair, I have Mason Taylor and Evan Ingram right next to each other in rankings. So those guys are really close. Juwan Johnson, I have lower. Loveland, I have lower. Mark Andrews, I have lower. Yeah. So I think it's personal choice between Mason Taylor and Evan Ingram. I think I would go Mason Taylor just because of that matchup against Cincinnati is really nice. But I mean, either one of those guys, it's kind of a coin flip. I have Mason one slot ahead of Evan Ingram in rankings. Hopefully that helps. All right, Cleveland Goddard is winning this poll, so we're gonna do it. Goddard. I'm a sucker for some Dallas Goddard and Browns. Wait, I thought we could do Goddard and Browns. Oh, it was Mims and Bengals. That was it. Goddard Browns, Mims Bengals. Yeah, I mean, in that regard, I think I do like Mims Bengals more. Oh, so we're saying of this last guy in. Got it. So we're saying double tight end. So Otten, Goddard. So you guys like Goddard more than Mims, is what you're saying. Okay, interesting. Um, I think I'm okay with that. It's a much higher ceiling overall. Two tight ends for two tight end day. Why the heck not, right? Why the heck not? Two tight end for double tight end day. Okay, fair. So do we have? I'm just looking. We have most of our. Do we have any lates? We have, I mean, mostly late swap here. So our early information is going to be Goddard, and that's base Goddard defense, which doesn't give us a ton of early information. But we got Bijan as well, so I think that's fine. We can still do a late swap team here. We can still do a late swap team. Let's close out this poll. And this, we probably should plan for if Bijan doesn't go crazy, what do we do? Right? If Bijan doesn't go crazy, what do we do? So let's do that. Cool. So let's throw Bijan in here. So we said Bijan, defense, Browns defense, and Goddard. So yeah, we got a little bit of chalk to work with here. Goddard and Bijan. So if these guys fail, what do we like for like leverage in the afternoon, essentially? So we basically have Tampa. We have 3 games in the afternoon, so not a ton of options. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Dallas, Denver, Tennessee, Indy. That's what we're looking at. So like to me, some of the highest leverage option plays here are going to be the Dallas pass catchers to me. So we're probably playing the other side of this. Like I think you could make an argument for playing like a Dak team in this spot. So I think we go. I think we go Dak. I think CD and Pickens gives us the most if we can fit it. Oh, I don't think we can. Let's just see. We'd have to get probably a little bit weird the rest of the way, though. We'd have to get a little bit weird. So we would have. I'm trying to reverse engineer the direction that this can go. So we got Cleveland D in there. And then we got Goddard in there. So I think if we go Dak, that we're going to be limited a little bit by salary here, which is okay. But I think we still need to find like a who's like a mid-range wide receiver that you guys like in the afternoon. We're playing the scenario that Bijan Robinson fails us in the morning, right? Again, this late swap team is the one that cashed for us last week. So this is kind of important decisions to be made. I don't mind the Javonte CD together. I think it's easier to build a Javonte team than a Pickens team, I think, because we're gonna need something. I actually don't hate the idea of like just playing Rashad White, just because I think we're still gonna get like a decent amount of leverage just from like these other pass catchers. We could play like a Sutton on the other side, Javonte. I think it's just like stacking this Denver game differently than what most people are gonna do. Feels like the move. It's like wide receiver Pickens at 7,100 versus going all the way down to Sutton at 62 is interesting. Pickens feels like one of the number one leverage options, though. Should we try and make Pickens work? Just the traditional Dak double here. Why is Pickens not showing up? What am I doing wrong here? All games. Pickens. Oh, he's already in the roster. We already did it. Okay. So Pickens is in there. I think I like the Pickens more than Javonte, but we could just end up doing that as well. So we go Pickens, Javonte, and then we probably could play Rashad White. Oh, no, we definitely can't. So if we're going to go that direction, we have to go way different. Way different. So we already got Bijan in there. We already got Bijan, Goddard, Cleveland. Yeah. What do you guys think? Javonte, it's basically one or the other with Javonte or Pickens, though, to be fair. I'm looking at some Rashad White, Javonte Williams teams, but then we'd have to. You basically can't do that if you have Bijan locked, though. That's the problem. Dobbins, Inamore. Dobbins could work. Yeah, we'd need to play double tight end for some salary relief, probably. Getting Pickens in there is really tough. It's really tough. Maybe if we move down to Sutton, what does that leave us with? Like some of the cheaper leverage options would be like trying to get into one of these, like probably still like a Franklin type of thing, right? Franklin and Sutton on the other side. It's just we're gonna have to find it's gonna have to be a tight end. But the problem is we don't have as many of the tight ends left at this point of the slate, right? So even if you played Cade Otton, there's really no one lower that we can get in unless you want to play like a Jawan Johnson, which we could do that instead of Cade Otton for basically the same price. I think we would probably have to go Jawan Johnson here. And then that would give us the 65K that we need to get in Rashad White. We could still play Cade Otton, though, if we wanted to here. You guys prefer Cade? Cade Otton and Rashad White together just bothers me a little bit. I don't know why. I guess it shouldn't. Their correlation is fine. You guys like Cade Otton and Rashad White together, just like to give a little bit more correlation there? I think that probably makes sense. Or we just go with the mini Rashad White. And are we differentiated enough here, I guess, is the question. I think so. The Dallas stack is going to be just the Dallas skinny is going to be pretty unique. Is there anything cheaper at running back we can do to not go Rashad White? Probably not. Not on this part of the slate. J.K. Dobbins at 5,800 if we wanted to go there. We could go J.K. Dobbins on this team. Yeah. What happens if we do that? Does that give us enough salary relief to move up a little bit here? It gives us 60. Gets us up to 4K, which doesn't do a whole lot for us, honestly. But then we can probably feel better about playing Cade. And then we could upgrade. Doesn't get us to Pickens, though. Doesn't quite get us to Pickens unless we moved off of Franklin. I'm really trying to make this double work. This Dak double with Dobbins on one side. We're 100 away from Mims. So then at that point, the Jawan Johnson is probably meaningful. 3,300. Whoops. Let's get Mims out of the flex. Get Jawan Johnson in there. So I think this is probably the route that I would want to go. So in the scenario where Bijan Robinson and Goddard fail and Brown's D fails, we basically have the Dak double, Dak, CD, Pickens, and then we bring it back with Dobbins and Mims on the other side. I think that makes the most sense. And then we get this mini with, well, not a mini, we get the one-off with Jawan Johnson now, since we had to move Rashad White out of there. I think this is a really highly leveraged, but still very high ceiling pivot option that we could do. So, All right, guys. Best of luck on National Tight End Day. Appreciate you guys being here. We'll see you guys next week, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, every single Sunday morning. We'll talk soon, okay? Peace.